institution and the management for giving an opportunity for being a part of this program. I hope you can able to hear me. Can you hear me? Audio, we can even increase the volume. Now you can hear me? Sure. So firstly, good morning to all of you. I thank the institution, the management for giving an opportunity for being a part of this program. It's been 8 successful budget discussions which have been done in my college, Black. And must be thinking, what is this? I don't know. You're all attending for the first time, if I'm not wrong. Correct? Anywhere you attended the program previously? Okay. Here the intention is basically to create an academic interaction. You know, if you see the panel members, there's a different people come from different field, and there is a blend of youngster versus senior. Without senior, the youngster cannot coexist. So it's very much important. There is a balanced. I think if you ask me, there is one shortage is there. The women in this probably representation. I promise that next time I make sure that there is a representation of this. But in my institute, wherever I'm doing it, there is a representation from women always, either doctor, CA, entrepreneurs, agri-entrepreneurs, whoever it is. Probably in a short span, I could able to bring my own people in this panel discussion to make you impact the discussions all about. This discussion is basically interpretation about union budget. You must be thinking, why do I need it? The point is, when you leave the college, when you leave the institution, there's something that now that you have to carry for your life that makes you understand you are not just a part of the system, you are very much integral part of the system. That's something that you have to realize. This decoding of a budget, decoding of union budget, every year the budget comes and goes. Every year the budget be presented by the finance minister, by the government with some kind of an policy making, policy formulation. But the point is, how does it make an impact to all of us, including you and me? That is something that we have to discuss about it. Definitely this discussion is an academic discussion. We are not here to represent any political party. We are here to talk about a political party or criticize any political party. This is purely an academic deliberation. This is an academic deliberation that we're going to make sure that you understand, read, interpret the budget is all about. I hope you'll be able to enjoy the session. And we have formed the questions. We have framed the questions such a way that where every panel members will be speaking from the different perspectives. Probably that will make you understand, realize, and this is not just a budget, it's more than a budget. This is something that is a message that I have to give it to all of you. With this, I want to start the panel discussion by introducing my co-panel members. Dr. S.R. Keshava, a professor and chairman from Department of Economics, Bangalore University. I thank you, sir, for being a part of this program. I welcome Mr. Santosh, Advising Manager, Deloitte India, for being a part of this session as an academic industry representation, sales representative. Thank you, sir. I also welcome a young champion agri-entrepreneur who have a vision to have an agri set of activity in the future. He has his own YouTube channel promoting about the agri-business, agri-activity. I had a series of interaction in the morning when I was coming. We both came together. We had a very deep interaction. He has a strong bond towards the society, saying that I want to give back to society something in the other way. I hope you all wish to come true. Thank you for being a part of this program. I also welcome Mr. Akshay, a senior professional. He is the founder of IMA, as a director of IMA, and he is a more dynamic and leading examples for a student. Being a part of this program, I welcome you. Thank you. Let me not start my program, let me not bore you by asking a different question. Let me ask you something directly to panel members. Please tell me about your opinion about the union budget. One minute time. Probably each panel members can be able to speak so that we can able to stick to the time limit.
good morning to all of you. If at all, if hello, hello. Generally, individually, I don't have any opinion about any budget for that matter. If it is good for the people, then as an economics student, it will be good for me too. So going by that perspective, I found this budget as a good one.
To my manner. So my opinion is simple. So it's being hit as a budget for the middle class, and every time in the budget what happens is only the income tax reforms, the salary or the tax slab for individual. That is always the highlight of any budget, and that's repeated again over here. So I think as we deep dive into the discussion, we'll probably understand, is it actually the budget of the middle class or what is actually happening? Thank you.
Santosh.
For me, at least for a very long, many years, budget was only about income tax. Just I used to think, how can I probably save a few extra bucks? But I think when we go deeper, when we are especially in the industry or in the academics, that's when we understand that our socio-economic and financial, probably like the opportunities for the next 1 year is just discussed on one day of the budget. That's what I would say.
ನಾವು ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ವಯಸ್ಸಿಂದನೂ ಕೂಡ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬೋನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಓದಿದೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಜಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಜಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬೋನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವೇಟ್ ಅವರ್ ಲೆಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ನ ಉದ್ದೇಶ.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll ask to Professor Keshav. In the budget, they're talking about the middle class. If you see, is this middle class budget the first question to you, sir? And secondly, will this budget kickstart the economical growth? Does this budget talks about something called job creation? Does it increases the job creation?
I don't want to dub any budget as a middle class budget, especially this budget, but it's overall impacting the every sector of the economy. If I deeply insect each and every affair, then you will be able to understand. Why exactly it is dubbed as middle class budget. For the first time, when in the initial remarks, many of my co-panelists were saying all these years we were saying about the income tax or about the direct taxes. But all these years I did not see much of the concessions to the direct tax people. So this is the first time I'm saying from the past 11 years something concrete was done. All these years Nirmala Sitharaman was cleverly saying thank you to the honest taxpayers. But at least for the first time there is something much more concrete for the people who are really honest. So that is the reason why I just said it's a good budget, because it's good for the people. When we speak of the middle class, the very definition of the middle class is not that clear. Some say it is from 2 lakhs to 10 lakhs, some say it is from 5 lakhs to 30 lakhs, and the standard definition accepted by the World Inequality Index and the Pew US-based Research Commission says it is $2 per day to $10 per day in case if you earn $2 per day to $10 per day, which roughly comes to around 25,000 to 50,000 per month. So leaving apart all this middle class, and all of us, generally we say we are all middle class people. So going by that definition, right, when you say we are all middle class, what benefits them more, right? If at all, if you reduce the taxes to them, definitely it will benefit them. So number one. Number two, when we reduce the taxes, what is the benefit to the people? Those who earn it. Now, the purchasing power will definitely increase. When you increase the purchasing power of the individuals, then the demand from those individuals will also increase. When the demand for the products increase, the entire economic ambit of the economic activities will also increase. As simple as that. But of course, when you speak, it will be simple. When you implement it, definitely definitely there will be leakages. I'm not saying there will be no leakages. There's a zero leakage proof. No, there will definitely be the leakage. Savings may be one of the biggest leakage in it. But apart from it also, it's even by that the marginal propensity to consume is 0.5 in this country. Even then, going by the simple multiplier effect, it will be 2 trillion rupees. Government is losing or leaving the money of 1 trillion rupees to the people from the direct tax concession. It means to say, going by simple definition of MPC also, multiplier also, it will be around 2 trillion rupees which will be saved to the people. So 2 trillion rupees is the multiplier effect. So to that extent, economic activities must increase in the economy. And apart from this also, another 2,600 rupees is there with the people because of the indirect tax concessions. Even that also helps the people. So all this, I strongly believe in the countries wherever the tax has been reduced, in whichever country for that matter, there is good amount of case studies for that matter. Whenever tax rates are low, then the compliance is very high. Even I in many forums and even with the many government bodies, I am pleading even let the GST also come down. So only then it will have a complete effect. This is my initiative.
Very, very nicely said, sir. Mr. Akshay, that is one. You talked about previously also with regard to middle class. What do the middle class want? Do they need a tax exemption? Do they need a job?
I think middle class needs both. Right. First thing is obviously, I'm sure all of us would raise their hands that they would say yes, we need jobs. So job creation is something that the government should definitely focus on. Right. Once you have a job, the next thing that you want is I don't want to pay taxes. Right. Because first I would like to safeguard myself, then I would like to build my nation. So the first thing that the middle class would need is tax exemption so that they can purchase houses, they can buy insurance, right? They can probably pay their school children fees or their own fees since they're young students over here. Right. So first thing would be that once they feel that their basic necessities, roti, kapda, makan that I say, right? Once your bare essentials are covered, then I think I'm okay, or I would be okay to build the nation. First, I believe that let the government create jobs, or let the government give incentives to entrepreneurs to create jobs. Then simultaneously for the people who are working, you're giving a lot of concessions to the business class, so also give a lot of concession to the salaried class so that we can reduce our tax liabilities. Once we have built as a nation and once we have spent all that money into EMIs and home loans and everything, then probably taxes, and we'll probably be more than happy to pay those taxes. Thank you.
The point here is the middle class are given tax exemption. Point is, when they don't have an income, where they pay the taxes? That is a question that we have to start answering. That means the deliberation should be such a way that whether the job creation or income creation or the both, that is something that we have to answer. Coming to Mr. Santosh, the government is trying to talk about something called startups, where they're trying to bring, they're infusing some about 10,000 crores. Do you think the role of government plays a significant role in promoting startups? Do you think startup is needed? Do you have a future of startup in India?
So just to re-clarify that 10,000 is on top of existing 10,000. So that makes up the total sum and to double from what it was previously, right? Just in continuation to what Akshay just mentioned about creation of jobs. Creation of jobs just don't happen by itself, right? You can't just hire everybody for central government. That's not the whole point. You have to create the economy in such a way that the jobs are created, right? To do that, there are multiple ways they go about it. There is more consumption, that means there is more demand. When there is more demand, there is more production, and it will also create a lot of jobs. In continuation to that, there is also a lot of focus on entrepreneurship. We have been speaking about it for at least more than a decade. But still, there has not been any sort of a special privileges given to the entrepreneurship in general. But I think in this current budget, there is small, at least mentions about it, right? When there is a lot of mention about it, there is more infusion into that. That will also create a lot of environment. It's not just about getting the funds, but also how you will have the regulations mandated. It's also about how you will give that free way, in that way that not just that the business will flourish at the end of the day, it will also create more jobs for everybody, right? That's how you will develop the economy in the long run. And in terms of the second question, I think you mentioned about what is the future, right? I was just reading about it somewhere recently. There are around 90,000 plus startups right now which have been registered in India right now. expect that to go up to 2 lakh, which is more than 2.3 times in the next couple of years. Now you can understand the magnified outlook of it, right? 2.3 times in next 1 to 2 years. Now, how many more jobs that can create, how much more money that can circulate in the economy, that will eventually lead. Although there is set of funds which is set aside, it's not going to be the cost only for the central government, right? When the money comes back to the economy, there is indirect taxation that happens. People consume that. When they get employment, there is consumption that happens, and that overall goes back to the economy is what I would say, right? That's just the multiplier effect what Keshav sir was just mentioning right now.
Okay. Coming to Mr. Prakash, I think you can talk about something. The agri entrepreneurs, what is happening, the kind of struggles what they're facing in real world. Do they need any kind of funding agency support, or is the government is addressed about these aspects? What are the challenges we are facing as agri entrepreneurs? How to bring the startups?
ಸೊ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಈ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ನಾನು ಕೂಡ ಮೈಸೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಆಗಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ PMFME ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಒನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ನ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 4 years ಬ್ಯಾಕ್. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಪ್ರತಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಯಾವುದೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಯಾವ ತರ ಅದನ್ನ ರೀಚ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಇವಾಗ ನೀವೇ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ಅಪ್ ಅನ್ನ ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಫಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಮಯ ಮುಗಿದೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನಾಮಿನೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಅನ್ನ ಗ್ರಾಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಪೆನೆಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗವರ್ನಮೆಂಟ್ ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬಜೆಟ್ ನಿಂದನೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಫೋಕಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಈ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಹೊಸ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾವುದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ, ಬಟ್ ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಸರ್. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಿಸಾನ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಲಿಮಿಟ್ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಮಕಾನ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ನ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ನ ಇನ್ನೂ ಪ್ರಮೋಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಕೇವಲ ನೀವು ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಕಲ್ಟಿವೇಶನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದನ್ನ ಎಂಡ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಸ್ ವರೆಗೆ ರೀಚ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಗ್ರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು 15 to 20 years ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬೂಮ್ ಅಪ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಸರ್.
Mr. Keshav sir, I think India has been seen a roller coaster with respect to agriculture and the manufacturing sectors. Since independence, I think you all read the history in your school days. From 1947 till now, we talk more about agriculture, agrarian economy. We talk about more funding on manufacturing sectors. But both the sectors have not created a jobs. Where the concerns are there, sir? Because India has a vision for Viksit Bharat 2047. Do you think our Indian economy is going at the right pace? Or is there anything that we have to do little more extra efforts not to reach what we call Viksit Bharat for 2047? Because it's not too far, sir. It is only 20 odd years that we have got to reach 2047. So if you are told we have to reach to that, what we have to focus? Because agrarian and the manufacturing sector are the two sectors which create job opportunities. If you don't stress on these things, on the policies, definitely it hampers the growth of a nation. Will it reach to Viksit Bharat? And it's first question. Second thing, all the youngsters are in this room. They will leave the college in another 1 year because they're MBA student. They will be leaving this college and they will be enter the market as a system. They will be in the system and they will be contributed directly, indirectly to Viksit Bharat. What they have to do it? That also you can please practice.
Basically, when we speak of agriculture, the very first 5-year plan, it was given due importance. 600 crores to those who was invested in the first 5-year plan. That was with the inclusivity factor. No, every economy to begin with was an agrarian economy, same as with America or any of the European countries. But unfortunately in India, we began with agrarian economy and still we are an agrarian economy. quote unquote, unfortunately is the word which I used. I do agree when my young friend Ramesh is speaking on agriculture as the backbone. But in case if it's a backbone, it's a fractured backbone. Why do I say it's a fractured backbone? Because more number of people are still dependent on agriculture. But over the years, it should have been reduced. In US, once upon a time, 46% were employed with the agriculture. But today, less than 2%, right? 1.8% to be very precise, are in agriculture. They're producing almost, which is sufficient for their country, and even they're exporting the food grains. But in India, that is not happening. After COVID, the number of people who are dependent on agriculture has increased by 2%. Now it is 45%. That's what economic survey is telling us. So 45% of the people are dependent on agriculture, and the amount of contribution to the GDP has come down to 16%. So 46% depending on agriculture, contributing just 16%. This is the cause of worry. Means to say more surplus labor is in agriculture. So you have to shift it, in case if you want to speak of manufacturing growth. And last year's economic survey also gives us the data and how many jobs are created within the manufacturing sector. It is saying 11.5% of the workforce. So it means to say there isn't, one thing is till now we have not created more. Second thing is we can create more. If at all, if you want to be more optimistic, you can say we have more opportunities to create in the manufacturing sector. So train the people from the agriculture sector, those who can come out of that, and probably shift them to the manufacturing sector. So that is the best way of doing it. And when you speak of the employment opportunities, this is the first step for me. Train them, skill them, and employ. When NSS did a survey, it asked the farmers, how many of you are you interested in farming? 60% of them said we are no longer interested in farming. 60% of them said. Because it's no longer a profitable venture for them. So it means to say when more number of people are there, definitely it will not be profitable. So that is number one. Number two, shifting requires a lot of money, a lot of training, a lot of incentives for the people to move from one sector to the other sector. In India, from agrarian sector, we leapfrog to the service sector. When we leapfrog to the service sector, it is quite obvious that ours is more of a jobless growth. Today, in case if many of you are saying, whether we are in doubt whether we get the job or not, even the government of India's economic survey is also telling, among the educators, only 1 out of 2, right? Only 1 out of 2 will be employed. So other people lack. Honestly, they lack. So this is the thing that which all of us should know. And moreover, probably I don't know how many of you saw the today's newspaper. Our own Narayan Murthy's Infosys has removed this initial placement drive that which it did in the colleges and took some 350 people on the board. All of them they removed. Even after 3 chances, they were unable to complete their assignment. So what type of quality are we producing is a bigger question. Many of my students here, are MBA. And if I ask them the basic things, they will definitely tell about MBA. But if I speak about the practical application of it, many of them definitely would fail. I can take it for granted. Don't mind otherwise. Right. This is the fact. Whether you speak for the PhD, even with a PhD student, to ask them what is the application of your research, definitely would fail to answer. At least 10 out of 100, at least 10% of them will be able to do good research, 90% of them won't be able to do research. I've been seeing this in the university from almost more than 27 years. So this is the reason that why, on the one hand, skilling is important. On the one hand, skilling is important. On the other hand, we are speaking of quality skill. So both are very, very crucial from the both are very crucial, when you speak on the issues like employment, the mic also don't work because it is such a debatable and hot issue. And in this budget, for the new employment generation scheme, government has increased the money. What is this new employment generation scheme that which we are speaking of? They have increased from 10,000 crores to 20,000 crores. They are trying to incentivize those who create employment. This is with the micro industries. Though we speak of MSME, it is all about micro industries. Micro industries constitutes around 99.5% of the entire MSME. So when you speak of MSME, it is basically micro industries which are doing the best and the worst also in terms of creating employment. But now, government has taken the lead in giving them the money also. And employment department, like labor and employment department, this year budget allocation is 36,000 crores. For the first time, it has got a huge amount of money. So now the task is to skill the people. So, government thinks, these NGOs which come to the campus, they will give the training. Being the placement officer for quite good number of years in the university, I'm seeing this also. What is the training which they give? How to sit, how to speak, how to write a CV, how to sit, how to speak in the interview. Today we are speaking of the AI. Recently, when they invited me for one of such sessions to deliver a keynote, I was telling them, today the world is all about the AI. AI is as important as the electricity, AI is as important as your internet. In case if you don't teach the basics of them and still you're teaching how to write your CV, ChatGPT would do it within no second. How to write your CV, you just put it will give your resume. That creativity is not required now. Creativity in terms of something unique, to bring out your uniqueness, that is where it is required. So probably how best to utilize the AI or big data, blockchain technology, data mining. So this should be taught to our students. And I know fortunately in this budget, 500 crores has been spent, 500 into 4, 2,000 crores. Even Bangalore is getting one AI center. That is another advantage. So probably all of us should take the advantage of those type of center, AI centers. This budget has been proposed. If we can do that, then things will fall in place. One thing is government initiative, the other thing is our willingness to learn. If you don't participate in it and if you don't want to learn, again all these things will be flopped. So you also should demand and you should also learn. Your willingness is key, crucial for the success of any budget, any government policy for that matter. So my appeal to you is, it is not just about your syllabi which matters today. Syllabi matters only 50%. Another syllabi is, apart from syllabi, what is that you will be doing? How best you can utilize your theory or the practicals which you learned into the market and get the jobs. That is most important. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think some of the academic thoughts which is being told by sir. I will tell you one more thing. If you see in the agriculture, a lot of migration is happening. From agriculture, if you see in agriculture over a period of time, 80% of our land was filled with agricultural activities. Today it is 80 to 60 to 40% it has come down. Still, we are struggling saying that we are not able to create a job opportunities. Why? The reason is, I've been trying to make the farmers, what we call, farmers to become agri-entrepreneurs, intern agri-entrepreneurs to become, exporter, or the exporter become the multi-billionaire. The change should happen. If you see the south or the other part of the agricultural activity, none of the farmers are rich. It's not the Punjab where the agriculture farmers come with a Ferrari car and go with some other car. The fact is that in India, especially, diversification in such a way that you not depend on what? Monsoon. It's so unpredictable. I'll ask the same question to Mr. Prakash, where he can able to talk about why there is a migration with respect to agriculture. Why they come to urban areas in search of a job. See, the funny part is, the next to Prakash, Santosh is sitting, the same multinational companies working there, people are going back to rural areas in search of agricultural activities. They're tired of corporate world, they want to go back to the agricultural activity. Hope you understand, there is a shift in what is happening from rural to urban, urban to rural. So, can you please give a narration about, see, why I'm saying is about government have a the high growth sectors initiative. Almost 10,000 crores they're spending on that. But there is a migration which has not been able to stop. If you can able to light upon these, probably it will be good.
When it comes to migration, ನನ್ನ ಓನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆ ಒಂದು 8 ವರ್ಷದ ಹಿಂದೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟಬಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಒಂದು ಮೈಗ್ರೇಷನ್ಗೆ ನಾನಾ ಕಾರಣಗಳಿರ್ತವೆ. ಒಂದು ಅದು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ನ ನಾನ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟಬಲ್ ವೇಲ್ ನೋಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ತಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನ ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಬರೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕಾರಣಗಳಿರ್ತವೆ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದಷ್ಟು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಯೂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳಿರ್ತವೆ. ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಬಂತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಣ್ಣ ತಮ್ಮದಿರ ಜಗಳ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಅದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯಲ್ಲೂ ಇದ್ದಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫೇಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗದೇ ಇರೋ ಕಾರಣ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಗಳನ್ನ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಕಾರಣ ಅವರು ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಂತದ್ದು ಅವ್ರು ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದು ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡತಿ ಇಬ್ರು ಸೇರಿ ಒಂದು 20,000 ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎವ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು 10,000 to 12,000 rupees ಬಾಡಿಗೆ ಖರ್ಚು ಅದು ಇದು ಇವುಗಳೇ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ವು. ಇನ್ನು ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು 5,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಕರೋನಾ ಬಂದಂತ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಂದ ಊರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಊರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾವು ಸೆರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೇಷ್ಮೆಗಾರಿಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಆ ರೇಷ್ಮೆಗಾರಿಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ನೇ ಮೈನ್ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇವತ್ತು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಕೌ ಫಾರ್ಮಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ ಇಲ್ದೇನೆ ಅವರು ರನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆನೂ ರನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದ ರೀತಿ ಬೇರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಮೇಲಿನ ಪರ್ಸೆಪ್ಷನ್ ಬೇರೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಈಗಿರುವಂತ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ನೀವು ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ ಪಂಜಾಬ್ಗೆ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೌತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಚ್ ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ. ವೆನ್ ಯು ಗೋ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು, ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ರಿಚೆಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ತಮಿಳ್ನಾಡು ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಇನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಇನ್ ಮೈಸೂರು ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್. ಸೊ ಹಂಗಾಗಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟೀಸ್ ಗಳೇನಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದ್ದದ್ದು ಬೇರೆ ಅಂಡ್ ಈಗಿರೋದು ಬೇರೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಯಾಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಅಗ್ರೇರಿಯನ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿನೇ ನಾವು ಆಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಶವ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಅಗ್ರೇರಿಯನ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀವಿ ಯಾಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್? ಒಂದೇನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಯಾವತ್ತು ನಾನು ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಓದು ಅಂತಾನೆ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಪುಷ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಿತ್ತು. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟಬಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವ್ರ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಇಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್. ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ವೆನ್ ಟು ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್, ವೇರ್ ಟು ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್, ಹೌ ಟು ಅಪ್ರೋಚ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. ಈಗ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಸರ್ಕಾರದಿಂದ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಬರ್ತವೆ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ಗೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ರೀಚ್ ಔಟ್ ಆಗೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡುವಷ್ಟು ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆಗೆ ಒಂದು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಒಂದು RTC ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಎದುರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಈಗ ಶುಗರ್ ಕೇನ್ ಕಟಿಂಗ್ ಬಂದಿದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ನ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ದು ಯಾಕೆ ಕಡಿತಲ್ಲ, ಪಕ್ಕದ ಗದ್ದೆಯವ್ರನ್ನ ಕಡಿತಾ ಇದಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ವಿ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಎಜುಕೇಟೆಡ್ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಇವಾಗ. ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೇಶವ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಮೈಕ್ರೋ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ಗಳು 99% ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಾವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾವ ತರ ಆಗಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ರು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಓನ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ನೇ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾನೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಯಾರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ಹೌ ಟು ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಎ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಪೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈವನ್ ನನಗೂ ಇನ್ಕ್ಲೂಡಿಂಗ್ ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಸೇರಿನೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. 5 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನಾನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ್ಲೂ ಹಂಗೇನೆ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಬ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹೋಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಓನ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾನೇ ಒಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ್ದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ರೆಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ನಾನೊಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ನ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾನು ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಜನನ ಕಂಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? ಸೊ ದೆನ್ ಐ ರಿಯಲೈಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್ ದ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್, ಓವರ್ ಆಲ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ಸ್, ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ರಿಲೇಶನ್ಶಿಪ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ತರ ನಾವು ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಇವತ್ತು ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಅಪರ್ಚುನಿಟೀಸ್ ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನಿದೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ChatGPT ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಜಾಬನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಎರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಜಾಬನ್ನು ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಎರಾಡಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನ ಸಿಂಪ್ಲಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟಿವ್ ನ ತರ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ನೀವು ಆಸ್ ಎ ಯಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇದೆ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿನ ಯಾವ ತರ ಬಳಸ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಈಗ ನನ್ನ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಬರೆಯೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಟೈಟಲ್ ನ ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇವುಗಳೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಕೂಡ ChatGPT ಬಳಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ತಮ್ನೇಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ideogram.ai ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ChatGPT ತರನೇ ಒಂದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ವೇರ್ ಇದೆ, ಅವುಗಳನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇವಾಗಿರುವಂತ ಅಗ್ರೇರಿಯನ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟೀಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಗಿರುವಂತ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ವಾನ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಯಾವುದು ಕೂಡ ಕಷ್ಟ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಡ್ ಅನ್ಎಂಪ್ಲಾಯ್ಡ್ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟೀಸ್ ಇನ್ ಎನಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್.
Thank you, Prakash. We'll go to Santosh. I think Sir has talked about the AI, even Prakash talks about the AI. We'll talk about the AI part. See, if you see, my discussion is happening top few points which are highlighting about the union budget. We've discussed about something called about economy with respect to growth. We also discussed about something called the government sectors, which about the 10,000 crore which they which put it in the budget. Now we're discussing about the AI. If you see, Sir told about very clearly, the government has stressed on setting AI and excellence for 500 crores, which has been allocated for AI. My question to Mr. Santosh, Do you think AI will create a jobs? Because there is a huge, I don't know, there is a mindset among the youths. Given the chance tomorrow MBA and AI comes, you all jump to the AI MBA. I don't know. The question arises, do you think the AI will create a jobs? Do you think what the government is trying to talk about, we already introduced AI in agriculture, health, now they're trying to say AI in education. We are all education industry. Do you think AI will have a service purpose?
Okay. So although AI is one of the hot topics in the market right now, but do you really think AI just came in the last couple of years? No, right? That has been for quite a few years. AI, ML, IoT, everything has been something that even I studied back then, right? It's just that it has become a little bit more hot topic these days. In terms of, like, it could be, can it evade any of the jobs? I don't know. I don't think there is any possibility for that. But however, having said that, whatever the jobs that can be very easily repetitive, that can definitely be taken over by AI, right? So I was reading about one place a few years back, not even recently, but a few years back, there was this one medical association in USA, they were trying to bring in AI and ML. Because you give certain symptoms and the doctor is expected to come up with some sort of a diagnosis, concluding that it could be for so and so reason, and I'll give you these prescriptions and these medications. And if there are so much data available that with these symptoms, like probably 4 or 5 symptoms, that the conclusion will be these 4 or 5 medications, then you don't need a doctor specifically for that, right? You have a lot of data, and AI and ML is all about data. So there are certain information that you are trying to capture and you are trying to effectively utilize that. Yes, can it take away certain jobs? Yes, as I said, it could potentially take away certain jobs. But although there is so much information on AI and in terms of medical sector, I will definitely not go and Google or try to get some AI information. I'll still go and depend on a doctor itself, right? But as Mr. Ramesh was telling, probably like there was probably some jobs like content writing, right? Content writing itself was a big thing. Probably like there was somebody to write down the notes, somebody to probably like type at a different organizations or just take down the notes. But do we really need them? You don't really need them, right? You just probably use some recorder and it will directly translate it into some sort of a notes for you. So did we lose that one job? Yes, probably we lost that one job. But did you really need a human even today to do that job? Not really, right? So sir was just talking about infusing a lot of capital into education sector, right? So that education sector is extremely important because even Keshav sir was mentioning that you have a lot of people who are coming out with degrees, be it engineering degrees or MBA degrees or everything, but they are not employable, right? They got employed at Infosys, but they are not able to sustain, right? That's because like whatever the education what you are giving is not sufficient for you to sustain in the industry today, right? That's where you need to bring in some sort of a differentiation in our academics or in the education sector. So with this, whatever the infusion that they have happened, they have tried to bring in more of internet access in the rural economy, right? I mean, today, in a college like Sheshanpuram College, getting internet is the easiest thing, right? But is it really the case in all the rural sectors? Like even now, you have a lot of institutions in the rural sector who do not even have proper facility. Forget about an computer lab or internet access or anything of that sort. So if you need some sort of a research and development to happen, don't you need some funds to be allocated to that? That's where these funds are effectively going to be used, and there is more of research and development that happens. In that way, it will eventually help. Like you find a lot of these books, right? And a lot of these books are quite expensive also. Like whenever there is a huge academician who writes a book, they will always try to market it at a very high prices as well. But with all these AI infusions and like investment into the education sector, they have actually tried to bring in some of these books in the online platforms, right? Where people can or students can easily access. They can learn they can do some research and development, they can also succeed and create economy which could be sustainable, which could be better, and also create jobs, and also which will eventually lead to like again some sort of a revenue for the government. So what, as we were talking from then, like that 500 crores or 2000 crores what has been influenced into the AI sector is definitely helpful, because AI was always talked at a multinational company probably 5-10 years back, right? Only the multinational companies used to talk about AI, bringing in some new technologies and everything. And probably for a common man, AI and ML was not there. But now the government has found an opportunity, also the requirement. It's not even just the opportunity. Opportunity will definitely not give you any budgets in the central government. They also found that a necessity. If they don't accommodate that much budgets for AI, they will not be able to sustain in the long run. So I think from that perspective, it's a very good move, and it was also a necessity. I would say it's not even like a comfort or a luxury to have in the budget, but it's a necessity. Because to go in the longer run, I don't know how many of you have heard, India was actually projected to become a developed nation in 2020. Right? There was Vision 2020, which we all studied in the school and colleges. But somewhere I think that we did not meet to the levels what we were actually heading towards. So now again we have set certain more goals that we want to become a developed nation in certain number of years. That also requires some sort of economic changes, right? So there should be more people who will have jobs. There should be an economy where there is more free flow of funds. The regulation should get simplified, and so and a lot of these jobs can be, or a lot of these things can happen very easily with the AI mechanisms. And AI is not just by itself, but there is so much more to it, right? AI, ML. So there are a lot of technology advancements in these areas that have happened to everything. Nowadays, your water purifiers are all AI enabled, right? So there are, like, I read about it all the time and everything. So, and from all those perspectives, I don't think we were too late in identifying a requirement at the central government level or in the budgets, but it was definitely a necessity, and that's what I would say is a good thing to happen.
I'll come to Keshav sir. Keshav sir, do you think India has a talent deficit? Because you all are talents. Yes or no? Yes. After completion of MBA, you all want to go for work, right? How many of you want to go for work? Question mark. You ask yourself. And if at all you want to work, what kind of work you have to work? You all have expectation. I don't want to work for a 30,000 salary. I want to work for a 60,000 salary. I don't know. I seriously have this thought. But do you think India has a talent deficit, sir?
Don't agree with that. India don't have talent deficit. But this from the 1901, I was reading yesterday the word Ramchandra Jaichamarajendra Vadiyer Force lecture when he did it in the Economic Congress 1911 in Mysore. That was for a seminar. I was just going through that. So he even in 1911 mentions about this, about the idle people who will be unemployed. This is not about the talent deficit. All of you agree when we ask you whether you are talented, yes. Whether you want the job, yes. But are you ready to work hard for it? No.
What kind of a job also?
That is most important. In case if you are not ready to work, then I don't see any bright future among our youths. But India, fortunately, is enjoying demographic dividend. During our days, there used to be extreme intelligence, extreme less intelligence. I'm not saying poor students, extremely less intelligence, and moderate kind of students. These moderate were the highly successful rate. They were usually 60-70%, though they used to never get first or second rank, but the highly successful bunch was that. Even we have a WhatsApp group of primary students, who are all successful, were those moderate bunch. But now you see only two types of students, either the too extreme one or too lazy one. No, the extreme one will be bumping with the energy. I'm not saying knowledge is same with both of them, but they'll be bumping with energy. They will be doing. They want to do this. They want to do that. They want to do everything on this earth. And if you channelize their energy, they will be highly successful. The other part, they will say, what is the use? We know it is not like your age, generation gap. We know how to earn. We are not dependent on anybody. These kinds of things, they will neither be thinking about their future, not about the country's future. This is the major problem. But that is the reason that why, last budget they were speaking of Kartavya Kal. When they spoke of Kartavya Kal, it's all about the same. Kartavya Kal is doing our work. As a teacher, what is the role that which I have to do, whether I am doing it. As a student, whether you are doing your role. So if all of us do our role perfectly, then India will become Vikasit Bharat. We all want, in case if I ask you, do you want India to be a developed country? All of you will definitely say yes, 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 yes.
I think most common answer to all of us, right about India. India is a developing country. We have been taught about this since our childhood. And the first answer is that only. India is developing country. When will developing become developed country? That is a question mark that we have to answer.
No, that question mark is there with either me and them because we are not working. If all of us work, right, then India will definitely become developed country. And take the case of China, which became independent after 2 years after India became independent. They became independent in 1949. South Korea, which became independent in 1948, just exactly 1 year after India. All these three economies were facing similar kind of problems. Similar kind of problems. Corruption was there, rampant poverty was there, similar kind of situation. Too much of casteist groups, right? It was a different problem there. So different regions, everything was a problem was there in South Korea and India and of course in China. But in those two countries, people decided, no, we will develop. Development lies in the man's mind. This is what one of the definitions of development economics we teach for our students. Development lies in the man's mind, in the institution in which it finds the expression. Institutions are there, whether it is developing in our mind. So that is very crucial. In case if it develops, nobody can stop us. Nobody can stop you also. So this is the fact. In case if the day we decide, no, we will, then there is two important things. What I am today, this is what Amartya Sen speaks about the capability approach. What I am today, what I should have been today. Same for me, same for the country. In case if you narrow the gap, what I am today, what I should have been today, if you narrow that gap, keep on thinking on that every day. Keep on thinking on that every day. If you narrow that gap, definitely India will become a developing country.
Okay, the reason for asking this question was, we were talking about the artificial intelligence and there's always a question mark, will take away our jobs. I mean, you all have a talent. We don't know where the talent is to be used for. I hope the answer, what Sir gave, was very appropriate to be able to think about it. We'll come to Mr. Akshay. I think we've been waiting for a long time. I think, as I told you, the first thing, if at all we have income, we will pay the tax. If we don't have an income, where will we pay the tax? The question mark arises there. Correct? Yes, sir. Probably the question will come to the tax part a little later. But as we know, there is something the government has introduced, something called new income tax bill. As we all know, income tax, you have studied BCom also. I think if you are an MBA, you were studying income tax there also. It was an act of 1961-1962. Till today, we have not revised it. The government of India is very stressing, saying that we want to revise this law, act. So do you think the government has a right vision? One. Secondly, what are the two goals which Finance Bill is talking about in the new finance on the tax bill?
So, the reason I was waiting was because I wanted to add some points to this conversation.
Please, you can add.
So, first thing when it comes to the new tax regime, as you've seen, it's been very popular. That now I think it's a trending meme also that if you're going to a salary negotiation, ask for a salary of less than 12 lakhs. It has been a very trending meme right now.
They don't want hikes.
Right? Yeah, people don't want hikes also. So there is still the two regimes which exist. There still exists the old regime, there still exists the new regime. The new regime has brought in saying that okay, 0 to 4 lakhs there's no taxes, and then 4 to 8 lakhs there's a 5%, and then 8 to 12 lakhs there's a 10% tax, which is effectively around 60,000, and then at the same time they've increased the limit of section 87A, thereby making the tax Then there's also the concept of margin relief, saying that okay, if I'm just earning 12 lakh 10,000 rupees, I should pay a huge chunk of tax. So to ensure that those people don't feel bad or don't feel attacked, what they've done is up to 12 lakhs 75,000 if you're earning an income, you have a marginal tax rate where if you're earning say 12.1 lakh, you have to pay only 10,000 rupees the additional income as your taxes. Similarly for 12.5 lakh, you'll be paying around 50,000 as your taxes. For 12.7 lakhs, right, which is 70,000 extra, you'll be paying that much as your tax. And after 12 lakh 75,000, that is where 71,250 starts as your proper tax liability as per the calculation. So this is great and obviously nice, but then at the same time, I feel that there's a pinch because all the deductions that the chapter 6A, which you probably have studied in your BCom or your MCom as a chapter, was a deduction that the chapter 6A has been removed. Right? Now I feel that there is both a positive and a negative over here. The positive side being obviously the tax structure is simplified, and so compliance, as sir has already told, the simpler the tax structure, the more the compliance is going to be, or the easier the compliance is going to be. People will feel like if the compliance cost is low, if I can do my own filing rather than going to a professional, definitely I'll be more than happy to comply. But at the same time, there are going to be people who are going to feel disadvantaged about it. For example, the people who are planning to take home loans, right? Earlier there was a Section 80C deduction of the principal component. They are obviously going to feel a little bit disadvantaged. I think the biggest pinch is going to start happening next month. Next month is what month? Can someone tell me? Next month. March. That is the time when, not assessment. That is the time when your insurance people come and tell you, hey, if you haven't planned your taxes yet, now is the right time. March. Come buy XYZ insurance products. So I think they are going to feel a very bad cause of this. Then now people will be like, what is the point of looking at those products if I'm not getting the benefits of it? Right? So that is definitely a downside. At the same time, still the old regime exists and you can still offer the old regime. And there is if you're an individual with no business income, right, you have the option to switch between the old and new regime whenever. So annually you can keep changing, you do not get stuck with one regime.
Sir, actually one more thing. I think he is talking about the old regime and the new regime. Here the intention of the government is very clear. On the other side we can able to see, I'm not going to talk about the intention of the government. But the point is, old regime and the new regime. Ultimately you want to offer a new regime and tomorrow nobody will make it for old regime. What happens? We'll all forcefully go for the new regime and they can able to change it. So that means it's a very calculated move from the government also, saying that old regime and new regime, that they can able to see to that which they can able to choose for it. And majority people looks at new regime as a new, and they can go for it. Tomorrow, if there is a small revision in the new regime,
That was what exactly I was
that is something that can be.
That was the next point I was talking about. So if you are a individual or if you are a person with non-business income, then you have the option to switch between both the regimes whenever you want. But if you are having business income, then you are stuck with one regime whichever you choose. So by chance, if you happen to choose the new regime, then you cannot go back to the old regime. That is one thing. So there your systematic change of the 1961 Act will happen. Once people, now because in some capacity other people are starting to have business income now. Either as professionals, I'm sure we have young minds over here, a lot of them must be practicing professionals, right? Or they plan to become practicing professionals. So once you get into the business income, professional receipts, then automatically that change will happen as you plan.
So we'll come back to the little tax but later. And I'll go to Professor Keshav sir. With respect to MSME, I think initially also we talked about MSME a lot. Now also we talk about MSME as the greater interest, there is a greater implication happening with respect to MSME. So I just want to ask you, the government is trying to talk about something called credit facility. They told very clearly, better credit facility for the entrepreneurs. MSME is doing it. And the government is also talking about the collateral free credit. What is collateral free credit? What the student should know about the collateral free credit?
ಏನಾದ್ರು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಐ ನೋ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಟಫ್ ಟು ಲಿಸನ್ ಟು ಸಂಬಡಿ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಏಜ್. ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ದು ಎರಡು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ
Anybody, audience can able to follow questions.
Yeah, please. Because
one more request is this academic discussion. Why I'm saying is about this discussion makes you to think, introspect, make you to think in a different perspectives. And you must be thinking, "Ayo, nane madabeka na appa nasti ide chala nodkotini. We have this. I have this some other commitment. I will do it." But not like that. You're all a part of the system. You're all part of this, so that we can able to contribute directly, indirectly, one or the other way. Okay. So if you have any question, please raise your hands. We'll be more interactive so that it not be monotonous that I ask question and somebody has to answer it.
No, for one or two we can take from you, then I will answer. I know it is very tough at your age to sit and listen. I know many of you are captive crowd. If given a chance or opportunity cost, I think, probably you would think something else. Huh? Yes, my good friends, anything else? Please do raise. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೋಬೇಡಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಬೋತ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲಿ ಮೆಂಟಲಿ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಬಿ ಹಿಯರ್ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮೇಡಮ್ ಕೇಳಿ ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ವಾಕ್ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ ಆಯ್ತಾ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೂ ಆಸ್ಕ್ I know you will be discussing more than Nirmala Sitharaman because there are a lot of things to be discussed. Because what will be our future, right? Which movie to go? It's already. So all these things we will be discussing, but please be little more serious, right? Be physically as well as mentally present wherever you are, either in the movie or here, no matter where you are. Yes. Yeah, please.
I'll be audible.
Yeah, good.
Since you mentioned that we didn't have a smooth transition from agrarian background to the service sector, since we have three sectors, the problem with India is we have human resource, we have positive demographic dividend. But why didn't we upskill the sectors to have that positive transition direct from agrarian to service sector? Because a lot of them, because you know that there is surplus amount of people who are underpaid, and it is seasonal. Agriculture is seasonal, and it's a gambling, and monsoons are unpredictable, and it's going to be a very devastating thing. And we have marginal farmers. We have petty lands where the productivity is not as great as the Punjab farmers which he mentioned, and the northern states which have good resources, good water table and other and all of that. So what is the issue with the demographic dividend which we had, which was positive, now slightly falling short of it? How do you...
So demographic dividend is not falling, it will be there till 2055. Yeah, that let us keep in mind, it will be there up to 2055.
No, the productive ones, the transition.
Yeah. Here, the basic thing, when they were discussing also, both three of them did mention this, reverse migration and migration. Who is shifting from urban area to rural area? No, who are the one?
Those people with elite
Those who are educated, those who are technically well, technocrats are shifting.
Yeah, elite people who have the resources.
Who have the resources. When they go back, it will be highly successful. That's what now Ramesh is doing. He was here, he went back, he has all the technical aspects with him ready. He can know how to use the technology successful. Those people who came from the rural area in search of jobs, what type of jobs we gave them?
Very menial.
Watchman, security guard, kind of things. Majority of them. So then this doesn't work, again they will go back. That's what happened during
Why
COVID-19.
don't we have upskilling at their level?
No, there it happened, but only thing was, they were very, at that point of time, they did not think that they have to learn. Many of them, our literacy rates increased. But they did not become educators. That they were very strict. Many of us, even in this hall, are literates, not educators. Similar kind of thing happened then also. Literacy figures even now, probably 2011 census, which is pending, 2011 census, which is pending. If it happens, you will have 90% literacy. Sure. But are all of us educators? No. So this is the problem that happened in India also. Right? Second plan was the industrial led growth. But thereafter, it was neither industry nor agriculture. So probably second and third plan should have been agriculture, first 2, 3, then 4th, 5th, 6th, or first, second agriculture industry again continued with that industry. That they didn't do. That was probably the biggest mistake which we did in our planning period.
And how do you relate that did planning commission do justice, or Niti Aayog will have more privileges in the coming time? Because they've already replaced. There's no point of talking about planning
That's the
commission.
reason.
But we had a fixed plan for 5 years, which was not revised, and the center would dictate terms to states, and state would indulge it. And
Now also, to some extent, yes. But here what he wanted was, with the planning commission, whatever success and failures of them, all of us know it is in the public domain. What success we had, what failure we had also, we
How has
had.
Niti Aayog impacted? Like when you were
Niti Aayog and Planning Commission cannot be
We'll have a discussion.
It cannot be
We'll not go on discussion.
It cannot be
So
compared.
probably we'll take that a few more later, okay?
Yes.
So coming to the manufacturing MSME.
Collateral.
I'll come to collateral. One more thing I'll add on to this so that you can able to talk about these aspects. See, I think as a student, once you complete your graduation, post-graduation, you want to start up your own industry, whatever it is. See, the major problem with MSME is foreign investors are not coming and investing. If at all they invest, they're removing the invest, withdrawing the invest and they're going elsewhere. Domestic investors are not coming forward to invest in domestic manufacturing companies. Where are the issues there? Why this issue has not been addressed? Why, what the government should address this issue?
No, at present, I keep on telling this, uncertainty is the only certainty in the today's world. Thanks to Trump, it has increased and it has intensified. So, the real reason is people want to be there with US now because dollar is gaining, so they just arbitrage. But when it comes to the macroeconomic fundamentals of India, still it is very strong. You look at any indicator of India, it is really doing good. But who are the one who are investing in India? Any investors who invest in India will be calculating where they get higher profits. It is not that they want the welfare of the country, they will come here. Wherever they get higher returns, they will go to that country. Now, all that is towards US and they're just going and investing it there. They're withdrawing the money from India and going and investing there. When you speak of the private investors after COVID-19, still that confidence among the private investors is not complete. So, if at all, if it does take some more time, that is the reason that why last year budget, you had 11.11, that number, 1111
Yes.
Number was there, 11.11 trillion rupees was spent on infrastructure, capex investment was done. So this year it is just 11.31. So just a marginal rise of 0.3%, right, 0.3%. So that is the reason that why government invested heavily. So to have a forward and backward effect of the government multiplier effect, let the investors from the private sector also come. And interesting figure from the economic survey, I also have to tell this. In the economic survey last year, they are saying about the capital formation from the private industries. So they are saying the private investors are investing, but they are investing more on buildings. They are investing more on buildings rather than on the technology. So these things should have happened, right? Where exactly the private investors are investing, whether they are investing purely on the technology or on the buildings, the clear classification. And moreover, on the intellectual products, the investment is 30%.
Correct.
But on the buildings, it is 120% compared to the previous year. So this is the problem. And moreover, when we speak of the consumption expenditure from the rural areas of the urban areas, it is gradually increasing. We are coming back to the pre-COVID levels. So if this happens, then definitely things will fall in place. And now this whatever the trumpet shouting across will be there for another 3 or 4 months. Then it will definitely come down, and then the
Economic pressure will happen.
yeah, definitely it will happen.
Now, adding to this, the US relation with India, I go to Mr. Akshay. I think he can be the right person to talk about this. There is a customs and tariff. If you see, there is a reduction in the customs duty on the two-wheeler. Don't you think any goods which import from the USA, it will affect the local manufacturer? Because this is where we have to understand the relation between the India and US and what the custom duty they have brought down. The local manufacturer will be affected. See, adding to one more thing, the MSME sir was talking about it with respect to collateral and other aspect. See, how many of you buy the Made in India product? Okay, let us see. Let us do a survey like this. There are two products, Made in India, Made in China. Okay, same product. Made in India is about 50 rupees and Made in China is about 5 rupees. Which product will buy? Right, we'll take count. Please raise your hands. How many of you want to buy Made in China? Nobody want to buy? No, but I'm saying cost effective, 5 rupees and 50 rupees. How many want to go for 5 rupees? How many want to go for 50 rupees? How many people don't want to buy at all? Should be either the case. See, if you see, We have an iPhone in front of us, the product which come from China. Actually, manufacturers come from China. We talk about made in India, made in India. Why I'm saying is about this. Made in India is only on the books of record. On the tractors, it is not happening. The major problem is that with respect to MSME. We'll not talk about that because we have little time. We'll come back to, if there is a time, we'll come back to that. Come back to the question what I asked Mr. Akshay with respect to custom duty, where there is local manufacturers affected or not with respect to production of custom duty.
So I'll also ask the audience a question. How many of you would like to buy a Bullet? Bullet, the bike, Royal Enfield Bullet. How many of you would like to own a Harley Davidson? What number of hands?
Yeah, true.
That's the problem, right? So let's first look at the automobile sector first. So the problem with, right, as we all know, automobile sector has been in a slump, right? The reason being obviously there's a huge high tax rate over there, right? There is unemployment, so people are not sure whether they'll be able to make the EMI payments on time, and there's a lot of economic instability which comes with it, right? So that is what's affected the automobile sector in India already. Now, if you bring in the factor of exports or imports become cheaper or whatever, again we have to understand that if you look at American cars, they usually come in the premium or the luxury segment. So yes, there is going to be a problem that competition is going to be there, price wars are going to happen. Definitely there's going to be a huge price wars in the American versus Indian cars. Right? There is probably going to be lesser expenditure on R&D. Indian manufacturers might not want to invest heavily into R&D because they'll be like, who am I spending this for if people are going to go for the American product, right? And obviously there's going to be that whole Harley versus Bullet debate. But then we also need to understand that majority of American cars for Indians come into the premium or luxury segment. And I don't think everybody in India is buying a premium or a luxury car, especially when our infrastructure.
I disagree with this because as a moderator I cannot disagree or agree, but still I am saying the point is, in India if you see, there's heterogeneous population.
True.
Heterogeneous population consists of three segments, top, middle and the lower. Here what is happening in the budget, they're talking about the middle class. And they're stressing more on the middle class. The first question in the discussion I asked you, whether India needs, actually, whether India needs a job. Majority only are dependent on job. And the industry, if you see, the consumerism, especially the top layer, they are the consumer. They can consume the premium products. But the middle class are not able to consume the premium product. That is where the question arises, whether I can able to buy or not. If I buy an iPhone, I see to that, use this iPhone for 10 years. I make sure the value for money. As a consumer class, I don't see, I buy iPhone now, next 6 months I'll change the new upgraded one. Hope you understand. This is where the...
So that is what I was coming to. So if you look at the American class, it is going to affect the top layer as you clearly mentioned. But I think the middle and the lower layer, they are probably not going to be impacted. So automobile sector in India, there's always going to be a good amount of customers who are willing to buy a car. But then the premium customers will definitely be affected. The premium car will be affected.
Sir, we'll come to Mr. Santosh. Government is spending more on infrastructure. Don't you think the infrastructure, in the name of infrastructure, we cut the trees, we are affecting our sustainable life? Today you see, monsoon has changed. Actually, we had a belief that after Shivaratri, the summer will start. Now summer has started now only. We are sitting in the AC room, so we are not feeling the pressure. Current goes for 5 minutes, then we will become fish without water. Yes or no? Am I right or not? Time to government has told we are giving free electricity, it become imbibed saying that we will give free electricity no matter what. Imagine if there is no power. What I am trying to say, infrastructure. Don't you think infrastructure, if you want to bring sustainable, what measure the government has to think about?
I think development and sustainability go hand in hand, right? We can't just develop by ourselves by leaving all our environment, sustainability at the back. There are multiple Middle Eastern countries who had lump sum of money that has come through because they just exploited the environment to left, right and center. Right? They did not go back and see that where their roots are. They did not bother about also making sure their agriculture was also improving. They just completely dependent. But that cannot go for many, many years. Right? For certain time, yes, it can bring in a lot of money into their hands, a very developed feeling of being at a luxury class. But that's not going to be for a very long time. So there should be somewhere sort of a balance between both, right? Just like a human being, even a country needs some sort of an development, and development do come at a cost, but at the same time, how will I make sure that environment is not disturbed? Can it be 100% not disturbed? Yes, it can't happen, right? If I have to probably like cut down certain trees, so be it. But how will I try to marginalize? How will I balance it in a different way, right? So there are certain climate summits that we go and probably like nominate ourselves and everything. So all those things happen. That's the kind of a control a government will always be. They will try to bring in some sort of a carbon neutral sort of a thing. So it's not about development will always come in way of environment. It may, but also there are some sort of a balancing act that you will have to enable. Probably like it could be that although in the city you might have to cut down certain trees, at the same time you will also try to improve the forestation, right? I don't know how many of you are aware, we always think that forestation is reduced, right? Deforestation has improved. But there has been certain places where forest areas have improved also. So that's the way you will actually try to balance it out. Is cutting down the trees the only way? Probably like if that's the way, there is no other choice. Because development cannot happen without any cost. It's not the cost of only financial cost, it will also have some sort of an implication on the environment. But how will you try to balance it out is all you will have to see at the end.
Okay. One more thing that I want to ask to the Professor Keshav with respect to education and health. A few minutes back we discussed about the education and health with respect of AI. Sir was talking about it. The government is talking about increase of beds in hospital and increase of number of seats in IITs and IIMs and this one. That one of the funniest side of the part here is university has no professors, but they want to increase the number of seats. Hospitals they have no doctors, but they want to increase the beds. Don't you think this is a dangerous promise that you're going to give to the people, saying that I'm going to do it at no cost? It happened in Rajasthan. I want to bring it notice to the audience. One of the doctors studied a subject in YouTube. Hope you understand. Tomorrow imagine they'll come into operation watching a YouTube. Hope we are not an Arvind Reddy movie. We are doing it something, we want something and do it, but something else. Hope you understand. The problem is it right? Is it dangerous to give assurance to people?
When they are saying about increasing of seats. Yeah, when they are speaking of increasing the seats in medical colleges, I strongly appreciate it from the government side, because right now look at the amount of money that which the students are paying to become doctors. And majority of them who couldn't afford are going to Ukraine, look at the problems it happened when there was a war. And one of my friend's son is studying in some other countries like this, in one of the nearby Russian countries, I forget the name, for 30 lakhs. So if you increase the number of seats, then probably this price also would come down, that's one thing. And the availability of the doctors is below the WHO norms in India. So it's good that you increase it. And the second part is infrastructure, which Abhinandan rightly pointed out, because that is very crucial. Without the teachers, if you enhance the seats, then it's of no use. Probably now the government will look into that. That's what my positive feeling is. In case if they don't do it, then it is of no use. If you go by yourself, learn by yourself, your YouTube video will teach, no way.
AI is coming.
Even then, how to use AI also, you should be taught. For the doctors also, specific training is required. For an agriculturist, specific training is there. How to prompt AI and get the responses for a doctor is different from what an economist will do. How exactly I'll be creative in getting the answers also, enabled to get the more creative replies also. So for that also it is required. And hence, once on the one side, this is good, the other side is let them also take it very seriously and see that the teachers who teach them are also in sufficient number. Because otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Nowadays, teaching is also lucrative in the terms of salary. And it is attracting the best pool. Earlier, teachers means you used to say a poor teacher who was unable to get salary. But now the same case is not there. In the elite institutions, in the prestigious institutions, right, they're getting a good salary. Oh, well, the same with Sheshadripuram College also. So it is just an assumption, I don't know, because Madam is not seeing this, she's clever. So, with that assumption, but overall, the salary in the teaching field has increased. And nowadays, even you're not getting a good teachers, when they call for the appointment. But recently I was in one of the central universities where the advertised for the professor post. We couldn't get a suitable person. Though they had worked with JNO, worked with NIT, so many places they were telling us. But fine, we asked them the very basics of the things that which was required by that individual, but he couldn't answer. So we said, no interview, let them recall, other than simply appointing the waste fellow, idle waste fellows. That's the word. It's the better. So these kinds of things is there. One is quality. There should be good quality teachers. Another is students' capacity or the students' intake also should be increased. So both should teachers should be of a quality teachers. Students should get a quality education.
That's okay. We'll go to Mr. Akshay. The major area of the chunk that we talk about the budget is about the middle class, middle class, middle class. Before going to the question, I think I want to tell you a few things. As I told you a few minutes back, in India, there are three sets of a class: upper class, middle class, and lower class. Upper class always a consumer class, and the middle class basically called aspiration class, where we are aspire. We want to. My friend got iPhone. I want to buy an iPhone. Aspiration. So probably that aspiration might fulfill down the line 1 or 2 or 3 years, but definitely we have an aspiration. But what I'm trying to say, from the 2020 onwards, if you see the statistics, the corporate tax collection has relatively come down. The personal tax collection has relatively increased. Hope you understand. The point here is, when the corporate tax has come down, the personal tax, who are the ultimate payers of the tax? Middle class. Not the top, not the lower class. Because lower class talks about the free class. They talk about the free. I want the free, I want this, I want that. They enjoy the whatever they are, they enjoy for the day and they leave for the day. But middle class, not like that. Nor we cannot become a free class, nor we want to become upper class. We are the struggler for the rest of our life. We struggle, we make our children struggle, we make four children struggle. We will not make to settle down till the life goes on. Probably this is one of the questions that I have to ask to Mr. Akshay. The government intention is, or probably there is a critic that government is more favor to the corporate, they are not favor to the middle class. Is it how the reason that evolved the middle class taxpayer in the caste system?
So for the longest time, yes, till the last budget also, we used to think that the salaried class is actually bearing the entire burden of the economy. I agree with you that yes, the consumer class was given a lot of benefits, the business class was given a lot of benefits, and then there was also the entire free class which was created. I would say that was created by us because as a government we should not be promoting freebies. We should actually be trying to get them to go and work. Right? So that's what I would say. And yes, the middle class was bearing the burden. But now I would say that has changed.
Say if the government is ready to give free class, why don't they implement in the policies so that it can facilitate irrespective to whichever the region they belongs to, top, middle or lower class. If the policies are very good, the policy no need to worry about the free class or not free class.
Coming there. So that's what I'm saying. So first thing is as earlier it was that the salaried class was bearing the burden of the entire economy. We were the highest taxpayers, right, on an average basis. Yes, this time this has come down. Right now with the new regime coming in, definitely the salaried class has lesser contribution towards the overall, government revenue. Yeah, and as it's clearly been mentioned, because of the new regime, there's going to be almost a 1,000 CR deficit in terms of direct tax collection, and 1 lakh crore deficit. 1 lakh crore is going to be the deficit for direct taxes, and 2,600 crores is going to be the deficit of indirect taxes. But then at the same time, when it comes to cess, I believe that, especially when it comes to indirect taxes, which is your customs, I believe that there is going to be a matching of cess, whereby the pricing is going to be matched. right? So that's the first thing. So I think that 2,600 crore deficit probably can be reduced. Right? Now, coming on to creating a free class and giving upskilling and all, we've been talking about upskilling and AI and all of that for the really long time. What we need to understand is now government is also focusing on global capacity centers, right? With a focus on export promotion, right? And not just products. We are now an economy which is more into service. I mean, if I were to ask these students, what are you guys going to do? What are your career aspirations? I'm going to get service line answers only. And I'm pretty sure whichever big accounting or finance or whatever organization they end up in, they are probably going to be servicing the clients of multiple countries. So we are building global capacity centers where they will be servicing the entire world. And luckily, I think Bangalore had the beautiful advantage of starting way early with Sir S. N. Krishna. Right. Now, moving on or coming to the next part, we are also now looking at tier 2 cities. Earlier, we talked about migration and people moving to tier 1 cities and overcrowding tier 1 cities. But now, government has clearly told that we shall try to set up, better facilities in tier 2 cities. And now, again, there is a two thing. There is an advantage and disadvantage to both. So if you look from the advantage perspective, there's a huge talent pool over there which does not want to move to the tier 1 cities, so they are going to be at advantage. And from a company perspective, if I were to look, right, the operational cost is going to come down, so they'll be more than happy. And plus, obviously, we have IFSCs and places like Gift City coming up, where they will be getting those incentives, so they'll be more than happy. The government has promised that they want to build more of gift cities, and they want to give more tax relaxation to centers, global capacity centers, right? And obviously that will lead to regional development rather than major cities being overcrowded. Classic example being Bangalore, right? So that's definitely one thing. But then we have to understand the major challenge over there, that is the talent pool. Do they have the infrastructure? Do they have the skill set? And do we have a coordination between the center and the state so that we are able to build a talent or we are able to build a skill set of students who are globally competitive? Now, if I were to go a little personal over here, right, I happen to be the director of an edtech company, right, and I luckily have had the advantage of having a very good team with me who has built an entire gamification module for all your financial regulatory compliances. So today, if a student were to come to me and tell me, sir, I have learned income taxes, like sir earlier told, we are a society of literates but we're not educated. We all know, for example, if I ask them, guys, you know about income tax, you have a subject, right? Direct tax and GST. You all have studied it. How many of you can confidently tell me, sir, I can file a GST return? 1%. Confidence, 100% confidence. I will watch YouTube, but I'll learn how to file GST returns.
What we teach, what we learn is different. What we do it is different.
So that is where I think now institutions have to start looking at organizations like me, including Seshantipuram College, right, where we can probably give students hands-on experience that, okay, go explore the website, have some fun, learn what's the worst thing that could happen, no harm, no foul. The major problem that companies have is, as an organization, this could be a problem where I am training a student and students don't want to retain those jobs. After 6 months, people are jumping. Every 2 years, people want to switch careers because hike, 30%, 60% hike.
I want to extend my discussion with Mr. Akshay. You all know cryptocurrency? Yes. There was one time, one budget, cryptocurrency was in good use. But now, cryptocurrency, that time also they told very clearly, I will only talk about cryptocurrency, but no regulation I will bring in. Because tomorrow if I bring in, I will be in trouble. I don't want to bring in. Now they're talking about the crypto asset. What is crypto asset? Let the students get to know about this crypto asset.
So crypto assets, I would say, rather than calling it crypto assets, I would call it virtual digital assets. The reason being because there is a plethora of assets that are available today. For example, one thing as you already told is cryptocurrencies, right? But also you can also create your own currencies or products. One example which was very popular in 2020 was NFT trading, which is still happening today, right? Non-fungible tokens which is there. So when you look at the definition of crypto assets, any virtual assets to which you have the rights, that will be considered as crypto assets, and yes, it is going to, the trading in those crypto assets is going to attract capital gains tax. And I think that is what we need to look at.
Okay, one more thing I want to discuss with you. Do you think the word they're talking about, the income, the snap rates, and they've increased the snap rate, what kind of impact will have on the economy?
Economy impact, again, people will have more disposable income, and obviously when we have a disposable income, the problem is we have to understand. So this is where I would say we have to look at the marshmallow test. How many of you know the marshmallow test? No, so I just go for a minute. Okay, let's have a question. How many of you would like a chocolate right now, immediately, and you can consume it? Or you have to wait for half an hour. At the end of half an hour, I'll give you 2 chocolates. How many of you would go for 1 chocolate right now? Show of hands. How many of you would wait for half an hour to get those 2 chocolates? This is where our Indian economy and economic mindset stays, right? So, luckily, the advantage is our parents have always thought of support a saving economy, but is that the case today? That becomes a question. With disposable income, the temptation to spend becomes very easy, right? But at the same time, we are not looking at a savings habit. So, if I again have to ask another question, guys, it's a Saturday, it's almost 1 p.m. Mantri Mall is very nearby. How many of you would like to go for a movie after this? I love that game. And how many of you would spend for popcorn at a movie theater? How many of you usually go to? Let's assume that you all go for 1 movie a month.
Don't
How
ask
many?
question. Popcorn is salted.
But a very simple question: how many of you would buy a bucket of popcorn at a movie? Like, and yeah, the same people who raise their hands. How many of you have an SIP going on right now? Our economy needs to understand that once we have a disposable income, we have to start looking at a savings habit. With not just a spending. Yes, spending is important. It is your birthright to spend money. It is your birthright to buy the iPhone. It is your birthright to buy the latest Royal Enfield or Harley Davidson bike on EMI. Nothing wrong with it. But please also understand that you have to start saving also. So, as an economy, that is what we have to think.
So, adding to the same question as good Professor Keshav. Sir, as I told, there is the exemption has been given. There's definitely the income in your hand. So, I have 2 options. One is save, other one is spend. Definitely now, saving has gone. What comes, I spend. What I comes, I enjoy. Do you think in economy this is good?
Another 5-10 minutes.
We'll stick to our time.
Yes.
Our 5 minutes will wind up. Okay?
ಅದರ ಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಅಂತ ಶುರುವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Basically, Akshay answered for this question, but still, there was in 1930s and 40s, there was a debate on this issue between the Gurley-Shand-Radcliffe conversation, we call it. So, already this discussion came, whether interest rate should be high so that the people would save, or whether the interest rate should be low so that the people will spend. These type of arguments, discussions are already there. Basically, Indian economy is a savings economy. Whether you like it or not, by default, in our blood, we do save. But how to make this people spend is an issue now in India. Some 7 years back in the economic survey, one chapter was devoted for the new features of the Indian economy, wherein they were saying how to make it, India as a spending economy is a new characteristic feature. So it's very tough. Even, he was asking the questions, how many would wait. For both the students have been rising. This is how India is, honestly. Even now also, that's what I was saying, marginal propensity to consume will be 0.5%. Another 50% they would save only. So whether your interest rate is low, whether your interest rate is high, no matter. Whenever you get 100 rupees, save little. But how to make you spend is the one which we are worried now. If you spend on more, if you spend.
I think the economy, what I'm seeing now, what we have read about, there's no more savings. We are more of expenditure is taking place. And if you see what 2009 and 2011, Euro crisis and US crisis, I don't know what age you belongs to in 2009 and 2011. But still, if I could have come across or read somewhere, India was not affected much. But today, if tomorrow any crisis comes, we will be very adversely affected.
No. See, all these things we do here, but look at the household savings rate in the country. Not much changed. Now, all these things we say about youngsters are not worried about tomorrow, they want to spend everything, bindas, Gina, fine. But still, look at the household savings. What is your household savings? You can compare that with the Europe or even much higher. So that is the reason that I am saying, with this new generation X coming also, right, all of you belongs to Gen X, but still, Whether in case if your income increases, then what is that you will be doing? How much will you be spending? How much will you be saving? So now government is trying to incentivize you towards the spending rather than saving. If it happens again, it comes back to the economy only. It is not that it will go out of the economy. It will be in the part of the economy, and it will definitely, this government decision of giving 1 trillion rupees to the public will definitely enable and increase more economic activities. And you can see the growth rate they are expecting is 6.4 to 6.8%. But I'm sure it will cross 7% because of this.
Okay, I think we have come to the end of this discussion. I think we had an elaborated discussion. Still, I hope we had an elaborated discussion. This is basically a discussion where you to thought about, objective about, the idea about the budget is all about. Before I conclude, I request my panel members not to take more than a minute. Any question from audience? Yeah, please. Can somebody give a mic for them? Give a round of applause to him. Your good name and you can tell your question.
Sir, my name is Arun. Sir, I have a doubt. ಇವಾಗ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ, ಇವಾಗ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಯ್ತದಂಗೆ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಬೇರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಒಬ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಎಲ್ಲ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜನ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ EMI ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇವಾಗ EMI ಒಂದು ಬೈಕ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಕಾರ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಹೋಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಮನೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಅದರಿಂದ EMI ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು, EMI ಇಂದ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದರಿಂದ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಪವರ್ ಕೂಡ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಕೂಡ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಸಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಸರ್?
Anybody can take or can I also take? Anybody can just take.
ನಿನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಉತ್ತರ ಇದೆ,
ಮೂರು ಇದೆ.
ಅದೇ ಉತ್ತರ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ನಿನಗೆ ಯಾವ್ದು ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದೇ ಉತ್ತರ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ನಿನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಮನೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳುವಷ್ಟು ಕೇಪಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇದ್ದು ಅಷ್ಟು ಲೋನ್ ನಿನ್ಗೆ ಎಲಿಜಿಬಲ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮನೆ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಡಿಸೈರ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಂದು ಗಾಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡು ಓಡಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ತಪ್ಪಲ್ಲ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು EMI ಕಟ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕೋದೇನು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನನ್ನ EMI ಕಟ್ಟುವ ಶಕ್ತಿ ನನಗೆ 40% 30% ಆಫ್ ಮೈ ಇನ್ಕಮ್ ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕೋಬೇಕು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೀನು ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು another 10 or 15% ನಾನು ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಇದು ನನಗೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ಸ್ ತಂದ್ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ 5 ವರ್ಷ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ 6 ವರ್ಷ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ನಿಮಗೆ ಏನ್ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೋ ಗೋ ವಿತ್ ಇಟ್. ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಬೇಡ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡಿದೆ, ಇನ್ನ 3-4 ವರ್ಷ ಎಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಸಾಲ ಯಾವಾಗ ತೀರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇನ್ನೇನಾದ್ರು ಬಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಅದರಿಂದ ನಾನು ಹೆಂಗ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್, ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಷನ್. ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ಇವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? MBA ಮುಗಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, 2 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕೆಲಸ ತಗೋಬೇಕು, 3 ವರ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ ಮದ್ವೆ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಲೆಕ್ಕ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು.
Okay, adding to what sir said, ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, you have a very wide option now. ಈಗ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಮ್ಯೂಚುವಲ್ ಫಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ಸ್, ಶೇರ್ಸ್, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಆಪ್ಷನ್. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಟು ಯು. ಆಸ್ ಯು ಸೆಡ್, ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಬೈ ಅನ್ ಅಸೆಟ್. ಅಸೆಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಗಾಡಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಂತ, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಆದ್ರೆ ಡಿಪ್ರಿಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಯು ಶುಡ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಅನ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್. I want to invest like a mutual fund. You will not be able to withdraw that immediately. You have to wait for a long period of time. Or I will invest in post office. I will take that money a long time. Or illa, I want to enjoy now. I have a money. I will go and buy it off an asset. Mobile phone is also an asset. Tomorrow, if the value get depreciate. But the point is, it's actually up to you. That is what the government has given an option to you to decide whether to invest, whether to save. This is what the thing that we all have to introspect. ನಾನು ಯಾವ ತರ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ವೇರ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್. ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್, ಪರ್ಚೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಪವರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್, obviously what you said is true, it increases. The government wants that to happen. Why? Because personal tax collection will come down, indirect tax, what we call GST, it increases. Student, one of the student asked me, faculty, I'm sorry, the faculty asked me saying that, the faculty asked me saying that, why not GST? Imagine if the GST would have come down, then there would have been big revolution would have taken place in India. Hope you understood. That is what we have to understand. The catch, the government has given the ball in your court, you have to hit whether you have to get gold, then you have to decide. Hope we answered your question.
And to add one small pointer over here, I would say, the normal thing as an investment advisor or personal finance advisor, what I have heard or what I have given to people is simple. For the first 6 months, whatever your salary, till that much does not come in your savings, Saturday night, third is good thing. First, roti kapda makan, have enough savings to have at least 6 months of your salary in your savings account. After that, once you have enough savings, which is equal to 6 months of your salary, then you go buy it. And when it comes to loans also, as you said, EMIs and everything, as sir rightly said, depreciable assets are there. There are two good loans according to me. One is the home loan, the other one is education loan. These are the two loans where when you pay the EMI, the asset is going to appreciate for you. Other assets, as much as possible, go for cash down. You might get a better deal also. You can actually negotiate for a better pricing when it comes to cash down.
See, adding to his point, now government has told, ಒಬ್ಬ ಮನುಷ್ಯ income tax ಓದಿದಿರಲ್ವಾ, one self-occupied. Now the government has told two self-occupied. As a builder, ನಾನು ಬಿಲ್ಡರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ. ಯಾಕೆ? ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಕನ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್ ದುಡ್ಡಿದೆ, ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಬನ್ನಿ ಅಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. Hope you understand. What is happening? You will save there. EMI goes there. That means as a builder, I'm happy. Indirectly, it is a positive effect. But it's up to you where you're going to invest, how you're going to invest. Hope you understand. There was one question, I don't know whether I asked or not. What makes news? What makes news will not translate into economical growth. What makes news will not create job. That is what we have to understand. Hope you understand this. This is the kind of a discussion. Will the middle class exemption is given? Will economical growth happen? Will the middle class income what has been given? Will it translate economical growth or job creation happen? That is what we have to understand. If that happens, probably the answer what he asked, savings partner, definitely will have a both effect. Job creation, economical creation, translation, economical growth, all will happen can come together. Probably we answered your question in a different note. Hope the answer is clear to you. Anybody has any doubts? ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಆಗಿರೋ ಕೊಡೋಣ. ಯಾರಾದ್ರು ಬೇರೆಯವರು? If you don't mind. Please. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಕೇಳಿ ಕ್ವಶನ್ so that makes I can more deliberation will be happens here. Yeah, please.
Sir, Bhuvan, sir. My name is Bhuvan.
Bhuvan.
Yes, sir.
Bhuvan.
Sir, now they're telling all the middle class budgets are less. Everything is getting lesser, sir. But I don't think they're reducing the GST, this thing, sir.
Yeah, that's what, correct. That, complete.
Sir, and then the health insurance, sir. Health insurance GST is getting increased. And they're telling, all that they're telling is they've reduced the tax budget as like 14 lakhs, no,
12 lakhs.
12 lakhs. There is no any tax payable for 12 lakhs, below 12 lakhs, sir.
I want Akshay to answer this question. Okay? Before that, I'll tell you. Government has told very clearly, ನಿಮ್ಮ ದುಡ್ಡಿದೆ, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ? ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಅಂತ.
But
So that's what I earlier told in the discussion I told you earlier also. In the direct tax, because of the reduction of the direct tax, right, we have a 1 lakh crore deficit. And because of GST compliance, especially customs duty changing on both the on imports, both of the finished products and raw products, right, there's a 2,600 crore deficit. We have to match up that from somewhere. That is where some kind of cess is going to be increased, whether it is for medical insurance or for other products. Cess will always be matched up to cover up that deficit. So that is why we have to spend money, sir.
Sir, but now it is actually very necessary for health insurance, sir. But they're not reducing on it, sir.
Yeah, this is one of the concern. Probably that government could have done it, but it's not done. So in this budget, this is what that means.
This is something that government has to generate.
GST ಈ ಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಪೋಸಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತಾ, ಅದು GST ಕೌನ್ಸಿಲ್ ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಲೆಟರ್ ಬರಿಬಹುದು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಾವಿಷನ್ ಇದೆ, ಬರೆಯೋಣ, ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್.
So
ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೂ ಇಟ್. ನಾನು ಬರೀತೀನಿ, ನೀವು ಬರೀ.
See, GST, as I said, GST Council, all state representative like a chief minister will come there, they will have a deliberation. Many political agendas are there, we are not here to talk about that, but still, hope we have done justice to what your question is. Anybody has any other doubts, questions?
One or two from
Ladies, ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳು ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಅವರು. So shall we wind up the session by this? Okay, sir, by this, any note that you can able to tell about the budget? 130 seconds. All of you can also speak.
Overall budget, if you go line by line, dissect it line by line also, it is really a far-sighted, foresighted budget, and really a good budget. Only thing is the implementation part of it should be complete.
Challenge.
Last year also they said 11.11 trillion would be spent on capex, but what they spent was 10.36 trillion. That should not happen. Every 3 months the government should release the money and it should clearly tell us for whom it reached, which sector, how much money, what was the impact. In case if this impact analysis for every 3 months is done, then probably it will be good.
Thank you, sir. Akshay? Okay. You can tell your budget opinion in 30 seconds.
My opinion is that budget is fine, which is really great. The whole point is not just about the implementation, also about the governance, right? How well did you use is the whole point, is what it would say. I somewhere feel that most of these developing countries, the governance is the problem at the end of the day. Once you have that governance in place, like as to how you used it, if you really effectively use it, is the really community which actually who have been marginalized are the ones who are getting. If that happens, I think any budget, even if probably like out of 100, even if you had made it to 120 or made it to 80, it wouldn't have made such a huge difference if you really have a proper governance in place. I think somewhere that's something that I would be looking for.
Thank you.
ಇಬ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು ಕೇವಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಟ್ ಆಗಿರಬಾರ್ದು, ಅದು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಈವನ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಬೇಗ ಅದು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ಲೈಕ್ ಏನ್ ಅವರು ಬಿಹಾರಲ್ಲಿ ಮಕಾನ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ಕೂಡ ಬೇಗ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಎ ಯಂಗ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್, ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಥಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ತರ ಅರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾದಂತ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಯಾವ ತರ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದು ಬೇಗ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಫುಲ್.
Thank you.
So all the panelists have talked about implementation of the budget and the governance of the budget and participation also in the budget. So here's what I would say: as responsible citizens of the country and as a future generation, it is your job to go find out what are the new jobs coming in the market and how am I going to contribute to the economic development of the nation. Right. So for example, we spoke a lot about AI today, and we finance professionals. I'm a finance guy over here. Audit is one thing that you all know, but now there is also a profession called certified AI auditor. Right. So there is something like that coming up. So we have to understand technology. We have to understand implementation of technology. We have to understand participation in the technology so that we can create opportunity. Then we can implement these budgets. Definitely somebody has to govern those budgets, and all of this will automatically follow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thank all the panelists for being a part of this program. I hope the academic discussion and deliberation made you to think in different perspective about the budget. Is not just like what we present in the parliament. It's not just what we read in the newspaper. It's beyond it. With this, I want to summarize the discussion. Overall, if you see the budget, the government is trying to take the new approach, the new growth for the development. There is a greater challenge from the globally as it was never before. There is a geopolitics which is playing a key role to build trade relations. So far, India is growing a little idealistic, but there are some setbacks that we have to identify, that has to be addressed with respect to unemployment, with respect to inflation. It is very important to see to that what governments need to approach for the new game plan to achieve the mission of Viksit Bharat 2047. With this, I would like to conclude the panel discussion. I also thank the institution and the management for giving an opportunity for being a part of this program. I thank you all once again.